Hello, my friends. Some of you know that I have started a new private support group called From Diagnosis to Delivery, and it is for mamas who receive a prenatal diagnosis. And 4 years ago, I was pretty much a wreck when we got our diagnosis, trisomy 18 for our little Verity. And I just remember that journey being such a rocking of our world mentally and emotionally. And it was on my heart to minister specifically to these women. So I started this group, and it has been a blessing and an honor to get to know these women and to support them. And coming from a place a few years down the road where we now have Verity, she is doing amazing, and there's such joy and freedom and peace in the journey now. I mean, I'm not saying it's easy by any means, but looking back, we have come such a long way. And to be able to share with these women who are in the throes of that uncertainty and fear and anxiety, and just be able to walk alongside them has been a huge blessing. So first of all, I just want to say, if you know anyone who gets a prenatal diagnosis, please send them my way. I would love to love on them in this private support group. But I also just wanted to share more broadly, because I just did a sneak preview for the ladies who inspired this project, but ta-da! I wrote a pregnancy journal for mamas who have a prenatal diagnosis. Because let's be honest, if we're looking at most pregnancy journals, they're going to be unicorns and fluffy rainbows, fluffy unicorns and rainbows, right? Everything's nice and happy. But for the mama who's carrying a baby who may or may not live, or who may have a condition that requires extra special care, that pregnancy is going to look a lot different. And so I started thinking about ways that I could serve the women in this group and some resources that I could give them. And I've compiled them into this journal, which is available now. And I started to post the link. So if you happen to see a post earlier, I did put a couple photos and the link, and then I took it back because I was afraid that it wasn't quite ready, because my proof copy, if you see the spiral binding, went over the text. But I did get word that they have uploaded my new cover, and so it's all good. It's ready to go. So I'm going to give you a sneak peek. So if you know somebody who's going through this would be a fabulous gift. And I would also love to share it with genetic counselors, with people who work at pregnancy resource centers. Maybe this would be a good gift to give to women who come in their doors and are just needing some extra support and encouragement. So please let me know if you have those connections. So here it is. I'll put a picture of the table of contents later on. But the first section, there are some prompts and just focusing on the happiness of a new pregnancy and the life that is represented there, because there is joy with that. And that's all before the diagnosis comes. And then the diagnosis kind of changes the course and the feel of the journey. So there's a place for them to, to record how they got the news, how they felt, what the doctor's kind of support was like, and so on. There's a place for daddy's thoughts, so they can write on behalf of husband or daddy, or they can just hand it over. A place for people's reactions. And then there's some free writing pages with prompts, because sometimes you don't even know what to write. But this is, I blogged. Many of you know that you followed verityirene.blogspot, whatever. And that blog is still going, but that was how I processed this whole journey. But not everybody is a writer. Not everybody wants to put their thoughts out there for the world. So this would be a place that they could free write, but having some prompts if they're not quite sure what to put down. So then the next section is details, getting into, tracking and the numbers. So weights and measurements, which could be for mama and or baby, because some of us were tracking the size of our little ones because of delayed growth. Place for ultrasounds, the photos and the notes there. An appointment tracker, because oh my word, how many times did I come home from an appointment and I realized I had so many more questions than when I went in, and I was really expecting to get my questions answered, and I didn't realize. So I have a place for them to summarize that and new things that I need to research. There's several pages here of that. Tests and results. This could be helpful during pregnancy as well as after, because heaven knows how many tests Verity had in her early months and weeks and months. A place to track resources. I wanted to follow certain blogs, or maybe there were websites where I could go and find medical notes. So this is just to give them some ideas and a place to track that. Shower ideas. That's a big question that has come up, is what in the world do I do about a shower if I don't know if my baby's gonna live? So I've put some of my thoughts there about how I think that every life is worth celebrating. And then some gift ideas given the circumstances and just things to consider, and a checklist, because we wanna think positively and bring baby home. A wish list for them. And then another open section, letters to my baby. So there's some free space for journaling here, but again, some ideas. So if they aren't sure what to write, they can put that there. Birth plan brainstorming. This is something I needed help with, and I gleaned from different people who kind of went before us. And so I have a place, questions that I'm asking. What kind of a delivery do you want? What are your wishes regarding this or that? How and when do you want this to happen? So they can think through all of that, and then some resources as well. And then I put our birth plan in as a sample so they can see that. And then notes, a hospital checklist. Everybody wants to know what to take to the hospital when it's time to go. And there were other things that I packed, not knowing what was going to happen once we got there. And then, of course, a place to record the birth, the stats, and sadly, you have to think about what happens if baby is stillborn. That's part of what makes this journal different, because that's the whole point of this support group and these resources that I'm giving, is that this is a journey that we just don't know how it's going to end, which is true of all of us. But if you have a prenatal diagnosis of a possibly life-limiting condition, then that is a consideration. So unfortunately, sadly, this does include memorial service planning, but I'm going to be real with you. I was planning Verity's memorial service when I was still pregnant with her, because that's what I thought was going to be the end. And I wrote in here, I hope that these mamas don't have to use these pages, but if they do, I hope it will be a blessing to them that they've had a chance to think through some things and jot down some notes and just be able to hand it over and let somebody take care of them. So kind of a tough thing, right? But I hope and pray that this will be a blessing and a resource to many women. And again, if you have connections with mamas in this condition, this kind of a situation, will you please hook us up? Or if you have a connection with genetic counselors or pregnancy resource centers or hospitals where they might be giving resources to women who are carrying children that are at risk, I would love to talk to them and see how we could work something out to get these in the hands of people. So thank you for listening to our little infomercial. And again, I hope this can be a blessing and an encouragement to many women. So take care, have a fabulous day, and I'll talk to you later.